last spring at this time, as our teachers were thinking about, or actually, no, I shouldn't even say that. It was last summer, really, as our teachers were thinking about how the school year was going to begin and, what they could plan for. We had a couple of second grade teachers who, once they learned what the hybrid model was going to be for second grade, they decided, nope, that's not good enough. We want our students to be with us 5 days a week, not, the 2 days or so that we were planning for in the hybrid model. And so they actually took it upon themselves to create an outdoor immersion program, which is no small thing for Minnesota. But they found, and the principal was totally on board. And so they actually developed a full inquiry Waldorf style outdoor immersion program in one of the parks that's located within the city of Hopkins. And so they had they called all of the parents of their second graders, and the parents were, some were a little leery, some were pretty excited. And so they got they've been out at the park now all year with 28 yeah, with 28 second graders, and they've actually been featured on our local news channels and things like that, because the students are the whole program is just so cool, and they really are um, following really a pretty pure inquiry model where, the questions that the students ask on Monday will be what guides the curriculum choices that are made on Tuesday. And the two teachers who are working together have just done such a beautiful job of staying true to that model. So I would say some of the conditions that allowed for that to happen, and from their own mouths, because we've also been wondering, like, how did you guys come up with this amazing idea? They've described it as they weren't satisfied with the option that they were given to only be with students for a couple of days a week. So that's where they started. And, like, how can we be with kids more? And one of the ways to do that in a pandemic is to be outside. And one of the teachers happened to have a background in Waldorf from a different state. And so she brought that, and the other teacher was pretty well vested in inquiry. And so they just that's where they began. They kind of built the whole thing from the ground up. They got support from leadership to figure out some of the logistical kinds of pieces. And so is so that's been amazing. And what that has led to is that now another one of our schools for the coming fall is planning to do their entire kindergarten as an outdoor immersion program. That school is their focus will be on environmental education, and so it's a really nice fit. Um, but I think so the two kind of effects, in my opinion, of our this pilot program or whatever, the second grade outdoor immersion art, is a focus on outdoor and environmental education, but also on um, inquiry-based learning, which now we are seeing as a model that's being employed in a couple of other of our spaces as well.
I mean, one, Minnesota is frigid. I can't imagine how being outside all year went. And you're actually not the first person that we've heard that has, emphasized utilizing outdoor spaces.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, if this extended to any of your other, grade levels, any of your other schools, in terms of like leveraging outdoor spaces for learning to
Mhm.
increase the time that they got in person.
Yeah, not to increase the time that they got in person. I think, in all honesty, it increased the comfort level of the adults to be outside more. And so I think so not for increased interaction with students necessarily. I do think that teachers are taking kids outside more than they were before, and thinking of it as instructional time and not just recess time. And I should say, in full disclosure, that on the coldest of cold days in Minnesota, they did have a community space that they were able to use that was indoors. And so while they were outside, our second grade team, while they were outside probably 90% of this year, they did have community space that was accessible to them, that they could use on the days when that just wasn't possible to be outdoors.
And it was that an existing, like a pre-existing community partnership that you had?
No, no, so that no, that did not exist. So our Hopkins Community Center had a space that had previously been used for like elderly programming and things like that. Well, because of COVID, that was not happening. So the space was sitting there empty and it was adjacent to the park that the kids were in. And so our director of community education worked with the city of Hopkins to arrange for our outdoor immersion class to take place in this park, but then also to be able to utilize that space right next door for weather inclement days.
Mhm. Will you guys continue that partnership in the coming school year?
I think that there's interest in that. Our teachers, though, our two second grade teachers kind of have some other expansion ideas in mind. The park was conveniently located, but it had some kind of forest or natural elements, but it was also like a playing field. So they really envision moving to more of an area that has a little bit more wilderness versus baseball diamonds. And so I think their perfect world is to have like a magic school bus where they can go to different parks every week or every month. But I think in the meantime, they're looking at some other local spaces that have a little bit more natural environment.